Hi students, we have been discussing about atmosphere. In the last class we discussed about the importance and composition of atmosphere. In this session we will be mainly discussing about the 5 important layers of atmosphere. Let us go through the 5 important layers of atmosphere. And the diagram of the atmosphere, that means which shows 5 important layers of atmosphere, is very important and you need to by heart this diagram. Children, let us discuss about the 5 important layers of atmosphere. Which are the 5 important layers of atmosphere? Let us look at the diagram. You see, the first important diagram is the Troposphere, and the second one is Stratosphere, and the third one is Mesosphere, and the fourth one is Thermosphere, and the fifth one is Exosphere. These are the 5 important layers of atmosphere. Let's see from the lesson here. The 5 important layers of atmosphere are Troposphere, Stratosphere, Mesosphere, Thermosphere and Exosphere. These are the 5 important layers of the atmosphere. Now, let's see from the diagram which are the other important factors about these layers. The upper limit of troposphere is called Troposphere. That means this is the troposphere. Troposphere means it is the end of troposphere and the beginning of stratosphere. So, the limit which is found, that is a boundary between the stratosphere and the troposphere, is Troposphere. So, the Troposphere is the upper limit of troposphere. Okay. Now, the upper limit of stratosphere is Stratopause. The upper limit of stratosphere is Stratopause. Let me show here. Stratopause. The upper limit of stratosphere is Stratopause, and the upper limit of mesosphere is Mesopause. The upper limit of mesosphere is Mesopause, and the upper limit of thermosphere is Thermopause. Thermopause. The upper limit of thermosphere is Thermopause, and the exosphere, exosphere has no end. This is the outer layer of atmosphere. Exosphere is the outermost layer and it has no end and no limit. Okay, so the upper limit of troposphere is Tropopause, and the upper limit of stratosphere is Stratopause, and the upper limit of mesosphere is Mesopause, and the upper limit of thermosphere is Thermopause. Okay, these are the upper limits of these layers. Now, let us discuss in detail about troposphere. So, when we discuss about troposphere, important points we have to remember is that you see the height of Troposphere is varying in every place. You see, suppose this region it is 8 km, then as you move to the equator, the altitude is increasing. Then understood. So the height of the troposphere is varying from 8 km to 18 km. Now, all the important weather phenomena are taking place in troposphere. Okay, the important weather phenomena in the sense, you see which are the important weather phenomena we can say. You see water vapor, water changes into water vapor, and this water vapor reaches into the atmosphere where it reaches into the troposphere, the first layer of the atmosphere. Okay, then the cloud is formed, cloud formation. When the water vapor reaches into the certain limit height, it changes into cloud. So the cloud formation is taking place in the troposphere. Then after cloud formation, then precipitation. Precipitation means what? Rainfall, hailstone, snowfall. Then that storm, lightning, thundering, all these important phenomena are taking place in troposphere. Okay, then it is a densest layer. That means all the gases are found in the maximum quantity in troposphere. So we can call troposphere as the densest layer of the atmosphere. Is it clear? So let us go through the textbook about troposphere. You see this. Troposphere is the lowest layer of the atmosphere. So it is nearest to the Earth's surface. Then The term troposphere is derived from the Greek word tropos. Then most of the weather phenomenon like formation of cloud, fog, frost, etc. are all thundering, lightning, rain, all these are taking place in troposphere. Okay. Then this layer contains almost all the water vapor. You know that water vapor directly from the water bodies reaches into the troposphere. Okay. And in the troposphere only the cloud formation taking place. Then what is that? Next point. Excess, yes. Then fog. Then dust particles are also finding in the troposphere. Then this region is the troposphere is a region of intense mixing. That means what? All the gases are found in the maximum quantity here. So all the gases are intermixing here in the troposphere. Okay. So it is the densest layer of the atmosphere. That also be discussed. Why? Because all the gases like heavy gases like carbon dioxide, oxygen, and all these gases are found, heavy gases are mainly found in the lower layer of the atmosphere. Which are the lighter gases, you know? Hydrogen and nitrogen. These are the two lighter gases, and these gases are found in the upper limit. Okay, these can be seen in the upper above the troposphere, but other gases you cannot find much in the above troposphere because those gases are all heavy gases. Okay. Now we continue discussing. The next page is that the height of the troposphere varies from place to place. That we discuss how it is varying from place to place. Then yes, then one particular phenomenon is taking place in this layer is that what is that? Lapse rate. What is that? Lapse rate is that you see that the height, as much one go from the, suppose you are moving away from here to the higher limit of the atmosphere, that means altitude increases as you move from the bottom to the top. The altitude of the atmosphere increases. So as much the altitude increases, that means 1 degree Celsius of temperature is decreasing for every 165 meter altitude. Okay, as much you go 160 meter high in the atmosphere, 1 degree Celsius of temperature is decreasing. So this decrease of temperature with the increase of altitude is called normal. This is called normal lapse rate. This is called normal lapse rate. Clear? So you understood what is normal lapse rate. Okay. So now we underline that point here. What is normal lapse rate? The temperature in the layer decreases with the roughly at the rate of 1 degree Celsius for every 160 meter. So this is called what? Normal lapse rate. Okay. Next, yes. So the troposphere pause, you see the tropopause, the temperature is so minus 58 degrees Celsius. So because maximum temperature decreasing, so what is the lowest temperature here is minus 58 degrees Celsius. And then second important layer is that stratosphere. Children, this layer, no wind is blowing, no rain, no cloud, nothing. Okay, maximum all the weather phenomenon is taking place in the troposphere. So with the tropopause, there begins with stratosphere. So that this layer is completely calm. Okay, no weather phenomenon. So most of the time you find jet aircrafts are all flying in this stratosphere. Okay, why this condition, the atmospheric condition which is in the stratosphere is very much favorable for the movement of jet aircrafts. Why? Because cloud do not form here, and also there is no movement of wind, nothing. So because of the absence of these are free from all weather phenomenon, that is the reason why the jet aircrafts can move in the stratosphere. So this is one important question you have to study. Then the height of the stratosphere, it extends from tropopause to about 50 kilometers. The maximum limit is 50 kilometers in the atmosphere. Then the stratosphere, the temperature does not decrease. It remains almost stable. But in the higher level of stratosphere, temperature is increasing with the increase of the height. Okay. You have to remember here regarding the temperature. You see, in the troposphere, we learned that temperature decreases with the increase of altitude. But here temperature increases with the increase of altitude. Again in the mesosphere, third layer, temperature decreases with the increase of altitude. Again in the fourth layer, temperature increases with the increase of altitude. So it is easy to remember. Troposphere, the first layer, temperature decreases. Then the stratosphere, the second layer, temperature increases. Again the mesosphere, temperature decreases. Again the thermosphere, temperature increases. That means temperature in the troposphere, temperature decreases with the increase of altitude. Again the mesosphere, temperature increases with the altitude. Then in the mesosphere, temperature decreases with the altitude. Again in the thermosphere, temperature increases with the altitude. It is easy to remember if you remember in such a way. Okay. So these are all about thermosphere. Okay. Then temperature. Then next is mesosphere. We discuss the third important layer. When we discuss about the third important layer, here we have to remember is that it reaches up to the limit of 80 kilometer. It reaches up to the limit of height of 80 kilometer. Then here the temperature, yes, what happens, decreases with the increase of altitude here. Then these are all. Children, one more point we have to remember in the stratosphere is that, you see, at higher level temperature increases with the absorption of ultraviolet radiation. Why this layer absorb the ultraviolet radiation in the stratosphere? Stratosphere, you see, the second layer, ozone layer is present. We have learned about ozone layer. Okay. In the upper layer, then the stratosphere is the second layer of the atmosphere. So the ozone layer is present in the upper limit of the ozone layer. Okay, as you go in the upper level, so upper level ozone layer is present, and this ozone layer is observing the ultraviolet rays and infrared rays from the sun, harmful rays from the sun. We have learned that. So this layer do not allow this ultraviolet rays to reach into the earth, so protecting us from the harmful rays of the sun. So that is why what is that, temperature increases with the increase of the height. Why? Because ultraviolet rays are present here. So ozone layer, remember that ozone layer is present in the stratosphere. Then the third layer is mesosphere. Its height is reaching up to 80 kilometer, and here the temperature decreases with the increase of altitude. Then mesosphere has a coldest temperature. Why? Because temperature decreases with the increase of altitude. Okay. Then the upper limit is called of the mesosphere is called mesopause. That also we discussed. Then the fourth important layer is that thermosphere, very important layer. This is also called ionosphere. Why? A particular process of ionization. The process of ionization is taking place in this particular layer. That is why this layer is called, what is that? Ionosphere. So then what is ionization? So the process by which where this marked, ionization. The process of ionization is taking place. Now what is ionization? You know, here in this layer, the gas molecules, they break up into positively and negatively charged particles. You must have learned this in chemistry. When the gas molecules break up into positively and negatively particles, then what is that? That means this is the process of atom changing into ion. That means what is that? The atom loses the or addition or removal of electron with the atom. That means that is what here meant by positively and negatively charged particle. Okay, so the gas molecules break up into positively and negatively charged particles. So these electrically what is that particle, this elective what is that, these electrically charged particles are known as ion, and the process by which what is that, atoms are changed into ion by addition and removal of electron is making them electrically charged. Understood? So here atoms are electrically charged. How? Because the electrons are removed, or addition and removal of electrons are taking place into the atom. So that atom changes into ion. So there forms ionosphere. So this is called ionization. So this ionosphere, because of this particular process, what happened, this layer can stop the radio waves. Okay, this layer can stop the radio waves, and they can send back, these layer can reflect the radio waves. Okay, this layer reflect the radio waves which are sent from the earth. You see, from the TV station and radio station, you see the programs, you see programmers sent to the atmosphere. Okay, sent to the atmosphere, so that these waves are called radio waves. Okay, so these radio waves, when they reaches to the ionosphere or the fourth layer, thermosphere, what happened, this ionosphere send back the radio waves. This ionosphere send back the radio waves to the earth. Okay, the ionosphere, suppose this is the region of ionosphere, so what happened, it send back the radio waves. So the radio waves are moving, going to the space. So what happened, this ionosphere reflect the radio waves back to the earth, so that what happened, our TV, okay, our TV and radio devices, they receive this radio waves and they convert the radio waves into program. That is why we are able to see the live programs, and also suppose cricket match is taking place in England, we are able to see the live match here in our TV and all. Why? Because of this presence of ionosphere, because of this process, ionization in the thermosphere or ionosphere, we are able to see the program. Why? Because these layers stop the radio waves, and they which are transmitted from the TV stations and radio station and sent back to the earth. So these reflected radio waves are observed by our TV and radios and converting those radio waves into programs. Understood? So the main thing is that here thermosphere, the particular process ionization is taking place. For that reason thermosphere or ionosphere helping us helping the process of reflection of radio waves, or sending back the radio waves to the earth, back to the earth, so that we are able to see the programs of these the programs which are sent by the radio stations and TV channels, etc. Then the next point we need to discuss is that another important phenomenon is that, what is that, Aurora Australis and Aurora Borealis. Okay, Aurora Australis and Aurora Borealis. We need to discuss about these two important phenomena. This phenomenon means lightning in the North Pole. In the North Pole, you can see the North Pole of the Earth and the South Pole of the Earth. Sometimes you can observe a process of lightning. It looks very beautiful. Okay, so this lightning causes mainly, how you know, because the particles from the sun reaches into the magnetic field of the earth. This North Pole and South Pole, no magnetic field is there. So in this particles from the sun reaches to the magnetic field of the earth, they start shining. These particles get charged. Since they reaches into the magnetic field of the earth, they get charged, and these particles, when they get charged, they start shining. It's kind of glittering. So beautiful it is when you look at the atmosphere, and when you are in the North Pole and South Pole, sometimes this phenomenon is visible. Why this phenomenon is visible? Because the particles which are from the sun reaches into this magnetic field of North Pole and South Pole. What happens? This phenomenon, lightning occur. Okay, this phenomenon is called Aurora Borealis. When this phenomenon happens in the North Pole, it is called Aurora Borealis or Northern Lights. When it happens in the North Pole, it is called Aurora Borealis or Northern Lights. When this phenomenon happens in the South Pole, it is called what? Aurora Australis or Southern Lights. So it is easy to remember Borealis and Australis. Australia means Australia is in the southern hemisphere, so you can easily remember it is related to South Pole. So Aurora Borealis. Then Borealis is just opposite of Australia, that is North Pole. Okay, Aurora Borealis and Aurora Borealis or Southern Lights. So this point you have to remember. Question may be asked about what is Aurora Borealis and Aurora Australis. Okay, these are the, what is that? These are the luminous phenomenon seen in the sky at the night in the height of altitude, where it is colorful light waves can be seen in the North Pole, as known as Aurora Borealis or Northern Lights, and near the South Pole known as Aurora Australis or Southern Light is known as. So okay, and the next the last important layer is that what? Exosphere. It is the uppermost layer of the atmosphere. It is extending up to 960 kilometer and gradually merges with the space. Okay, so it is unending. Here also temperature increases with the altitude in this layer. In this layer, temperature is increasing with the upper limit. Temperature is increasing with the increase of altitude. So density of the air is very low. Why? Because as you go higher, the air becomes thinner, and the lowest layer the density is maximum. Why? Because maximum amount of air, but as you go higher, the quantity or amount of air is decreasing, so that air is becoming thin. Atmosphere is very thin there. Is it clear? I hope that you understood the points of all these important layers. So go through the lesson and read out once again. All the best, and we continue the rest of the topic in the next class.